for having me here today at the Grove Mall here in Los Angeles, California. What's in your wallet? I'll tell you what's in your wallet. The hands of a big corporation is in your wallet. And I got enough hands in my wallet as it is. I got the medical profession in my wallet. I got the tax man in my wallet. There's plenty of people there taking stuff out of my wallet. I don't need to have another what's in your wallet. What's in your wallet?
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
All right, what is in your wallet? Who knows? Who knows what's in your wallet? Anyway, coming soon to a YouTube near you, Grove Up, Stand Up at the Grove from Joel Marshall, the illegitimate comedian. I see Howard Ronan is here. I love the way it says Howard Ronan, channel 1 of 2. I love it. Hey, hoy. Guignel says Joel has big hands. I do. They're ginormous. They're huge. It means that I have big gloves. Happy Commando Friday. Hoy. Hoy there, Jose. All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to do something unique and special. We're going to breathe. And today we've got Jim Garrett in the green room with Boney. He's preparing. We're going to be able to hear him breathe right along with Boney. So let's do this thing. In through the nose, out through the toes. Listen to it. I can hear him. Hold it. I like it. Some heavy-duty breathing going on. Some heavy breathing. Let it go. Jose says, what's in my wallet? A condom and a credit card I don't use either. Good for you. Staying safe. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. Hoy there. Hi there. Just Jay Comedian, Hoity from Topeka, Kansas. One more, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Just Jay Comedian, as we said last week, and it's in huge anticipation. She's going to be on this reality program called The Trust on Netflix. So I don't know. We might have some kind of a watch party. I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of a big deal. Todd says Jose must be cash only. Yeah, I'm trying to stay cash only this year. I'm trying to stay solvent. I think you may have missed Joel's point. Oh, Jose's point, Joel. I'm sure I did. I always miss everybody's point. All right, let's see what Ray Scanlon says. Ray Scanlon, credible comedian. Ray, I'm doing good. How are you doing out there? Oh, he doesn't use the condom. Yeah. Oh, he doesn't. You mean he has sex, but he doesn't use the condom? That is not advocated here on the show. I just want to be clear. Safe sex is advocated on this show. Jay is awesomeness. Jay is awesomeness. Ray and Jay, you guys should do go on the road together. A couple of comedians. It actually would be a very good act, I think. So get that together, and let's see that happen. Ray says he's doing great. Hope you're doing great too. I am doing pretty good, making it through the holidays. Gonna listen to some handpan music. This is cool. Little music here to relax everybody. This is Devin X77. It's a weird thing we do on the show is we listen to handpan and waves. Get ready. Ready to take on Jim Garrett and his extraordinary lifestyle. 77 for that. Now on to the interview. Okay, Jim Garrett. You're like, Jim Garrett? Oh my God, I can't believe you got Jim Garrett on the show. And yes, we have gotten Jim Garrett on the show. He is the producer of something called Hot 30, which I had a little couple shorts in there. Really quick 30-second shorts, which is super fun to see all together like that. We'll have probably a clip from that later on in the show. He does another thing called Halloween Mixtape, which is very similar in putting out a lot of great, scary shorts. And it's an event. Everybody goes there. We watch all these shows, and I'm going to talk to him more about that. But also, he worked for MasterClass doing post-production supervision, so that's going to be really interesting. And he's worked for a lot of different places like the Kennedy Center, producing events. And he's a heavy breather, as Kenyel says. Yes, he is. And let's get him into this thing called Interview Friday. Thank you. You too.
Halloween Mixtape, because you make movies better.
How's it going, Jim Garrett? Welcome to Lunch
Yeah,
Therapy.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. That was hilarious.
Record, whoever that was in the chat, I've been leaning directly over my mic and I thought I was muted. So maybe I am a heavy breather. Who's to say?
Maybe you are.
But,
Maybe you are a heavy breather.
I really
down.
I like that breathing thing in the beginning.
Oh, you do?
I do. Yeah. I actually just tested after I had an experience in a public restroom at the LA Fitness I go to. I tested to see how long I can hold my breath. So it's very prescient, kind of just like this morning. Minute and a half.
Minute and a half?
Yeah, I don't know if that's normal or what, but hopefully, you know.
I think that's pretty good. I think Tom Cruise can hold his breath for like an hour though, so I think we have some work to do. You know, yeah. Well, Tom Cruise. I mean, you know, what can you do?
Right.
You can't really compete.
Nah.
Jose says, I don't get the opportunity to use. Oh, we're still talking about condoms in the chat room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I thought this was going to be an abstinence only podcast here, so I should probably leave.
I hope you brought your condoms. Anyway, this is so great to have you on the show. I was able to participate in Hot 30, and that was just such an incredible event over at the El Cid. I think you're doing another one in March, right?
We are, and thank you so much for being part of that. I love your like going out and like I guess that was Swan Up and Sag Up that
yes,
played.
That was in that show.
Which
yeah.
I remember too. Oh my God, with the Sag Up thing, like because we had the run of shows set, and then it was like the show was right as the strikes were going to end. I was like, is this going to be like out of date now? Are we going to be able to play this? Because it was like right as the
I was thinking the same thing too. But you know what? It still plays because it's still a lot of it's still true even after negotiations. Yeah,
it was actually kind of nice because you know the Swan Up thing was like more straight up jokes, but then I feel like it's nice to mix in. So to take a half step back for the Hot 30 micro shorts it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a micro short screening event that started in 2020 on Twitch in March of 2020 when COVID first happened because people were like trapped, you know. So we gave people two weeks to make something, and then you know get a screen. It was
like
great.
One of those 24-hour film festivals, but it was like a 2-week film festival.
Sort of, yeah. And then after that, for the 2020, it was like a month runway before each show, and then in 2021 and 2022, we changed formats and became a Channel 101 show. Yeah. Which for further frame of reference, Channel 101 is a free screening event based in LA that was made by Dan Harmon and Rob Schraub. Dan Harmon, you know, he made Community, Rick and Morty and stuff back in 2003.
Yeah.
And where basically every screening event you have to make a TV show, like a web series. So the Hot 30 basically became like it was like okay, a bunch of like little micro shorts in a 5-minute block. So we did that for 2 years. And then this past year, we brought it back into its own kind of live event where we go to El Cid It's this really, really amazing bar and nightclub in Silver Lake,
Yeah, we love that
California
place.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a cool, oh my God, such a cool spot. Like that, like layered outdoor patios. They got like well-priced drinks and tasty apps and whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to plug El Cid
It's good. We
specifically,
like to
but
plug
there's a reason we go
Yeah.
there because it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just objectively a really cool place.
You know, a lot of time, I think in the past, it actually used to be a jail themed bar where you, or restaurant where you would go get served in a jail cell. I think I remember this.
Wow.
We had Brian Joseph on the show, and he did a book, 111 Things to Do in Hollywood, or Before You Die, or something like that. I forget
Yeah.
what it's called. But anyway, he had a whole thing on El Cid, and it's got a really interesting background.
I guess I can kind of imagine that. It's got like the, there's the interior areas that are kind of like,
Cavernous.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well-
okay. So I love the fact, I'd love to see all those shorts together like that too. It's really enjoyable. It reminded me a little bit of way back when on Showtime, they used to show shorts between movies. They were called
yeah.
Showtime Shorts. And we don't really, I guess YouTube has kind of taken over that right now, but to see them together in a curated format like that is really a joy. And
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
the great thing about it too is if you don't like the one you're watching, there's going to be another one coming right along.
Right. And I feel like by that same notion for creators, it helps take a lot of the pressure off because you don't have to make like the best thing you've ever made because you know it's going to be sandwiched within 100 other shorts,
Yeah.
So basically the format is anything between, I think it's like 5 seconds and 60 seconds is the hard ceiling, but 30 is the target, so it's great. Someone described it as being hit by a fire hose of creativity. And I love that. That's like the coolest.
What it is.
Yeah.
And also as a filmmaker, it's great to try and cut something down to 30 seconds. Like I got my little performance or whatever got so much better when it first Sethward had me cut it down to I think 3 minutes for his thing.
Right.
And then you were like 30 seconds. So I was able to, it's just, I don't know, it's a great exercise as a
with your thing too, it was great because you were able to cut it into like a runner, which is really fun when you have like a 90-minute like program. I think our show is technically 70 minutes because we put in intermission blocks of like, we do stand up. I think I want to try and get a musical one for the March show. Like either way, but having like where it's like something like yours where it's like you have 3 versions of like a similar setup there where it's like you doing stand up at the strike, like picket line, and then you can kind of pop that in throughout or whatever. So that way it's like the audience gets to have the familiar. I mean, you stand up, obviously, the benefits of having callbacks and things like that. So it's the same with curating a program where like having those touch points. I agree. Less is more. Ray reacts to everything.
That's right. Ray reacts to everything. Less is more.
Yeah. That's been one of the biggest things. I feel like when I first started out making stuff, and trying to come on things with the critical eye, that's really the biggest thing I always came back to is just like less is more, get to the point and then get out, So doing the Hot 30 things, I started out initially I was just a contributor. And I became friends with Andy Petruzzo and Kyle Sweeney, the 2 people who created the event through Channel 101, which is the festival we all just were members of the community of, and then just sort of because I was just there, and I have a background in event management, production management, doing like live events. And basically like being able to kind of leverage that into going like I think I had mentioned to you in the green room that I did like another show. So I do a couple of live events around the LA area. There's Hot 30 micro shorts. There's Halloween mixtape, which is a horror and horror comedy one. And there's also one called So Fucked It's Funny, which is a abortion access fundraiser event that started it basically right when Roe v. Wade got repealed. Then like my friend and the event founder was like, hey, let's do something in like, I think it was like, oh God, I can't remember. It's like a 12-week turnaround, something crazy, because that between like when you get pregnant and the first heartbeat was like the turnaround to put this entire event together, which we raised like 14 grand, which is amazing at the Dynasty Typewriter. Yeah. And then the event went to Austin and Detroit and Chicago and New York this past year. I think we're looking at bringing it back to LA. But
Do you go with it when it travels like that, or how does it work?
I did not. No, yeah, I did not want to. I mean, I would have loved to. It's just I don't want to buy the plane tickets or whatever, you know, because it's not like it's like they were like a couple months apart.
So how do you make these events happen remotely, or does somebody go along with it, or how does it happen?
We basically for those events we had local, you know, there were local like liaisons that we had just like through knowing people like I met you, for example, through Show and Tell. Seth Word, Allison, he does this amazing free show in LA every month. I've met so many amazing people through there. And it's by doing stuff like that, you know, you just meet all sorts of dynamic people. I mean, just for Hot 30, I think there was 5 countries this last screening, you know, it was US, Canada, UK, Japan, and Sweden, I think.
It's so cool to see it all together, juxtaposed against one another, and just you see what people are thinking and see where the same threads are happening, and then see where there's something completely different that you never saw before. Yeah, because there's animation in it too as well. I'm going to play a little thing here. Yeah. They've got the reel that just shows some of the clips. Sick. So that'll be. I like that reel. That one was hilarious. That's awesome.
I just got hyped right there. I can't.
It's exciting, right?
Honestly, like cutting those reels is one of my favorite. I mean, the whole thing is my favorite part, but like cutting those, because you never know what you're gonna get for submissions. So then, like, I mean, because you feel you have a good. You wouldn't do this type of thing if you didn't like have a good feeling that people are gonna want to participate. But then, like, once you actually, thanks, equal means equal. I also think it was a hot show. It's a hot 30 seconds. But so when it comes time to like cut the reels, it's like usually like right as the deadline ends, I'll start cutting together like a little sizzle reel, and just seeing everything is just like, oh my god, this is so fucking awesome. So many cool shorts, and man,
is there a venue like that you can then maybe sell that block to, like you know, like
I wonder.
Showtime used to do that. Like maybe there's a really good, you know.
I mean, I know that Adult Swim, they do. I mean, granted, this was before the Discovery merger, so I don't know anymore. They used to have like that show where it was like the pitch meeting or whatever. So I wonder if something like that. You know, do you know what I'm talking about? Where like you go on, it's a kind of this format.
Really?
Where like
you go on and you pitch something.
You pitch something, and then you basically can win like whatever the monetary prize is, and then you can get optioned or whatever. But it used to be a late night show on Adult Swim that was like very similar, but then you'd be able, I don't think for us, because we specify that you don't have to worry about licensing material. So there's a lot of people who submit things with either licensed music or clips from things. People re-edit stuff all the time. Earlier in April, the April show, I showed a clip from just an unadulterated clip from the Gary Busey Forgotten Classic Bulletproof, which I don't know if you've ever seen, but it's just a ridiculous. Oh man, it's not. It's really, really bad. But then it's just sort of showing a clip of that fucking thing. Is just because you can do anything. That's the kind of with the Hot 30 format. I mean, people do trailers for their own stuff. They do stand up. Like there's people who do stand up. Just a little clip of. Sometimes it'll be the audience recording of just them doing their stand up set or whatever.
Yeah.
There's, there's BTS of like people do like like artists doing the drawing, the time lapses and shit. And then also narrative sketch comedy and abstract experimentation.
Machinima.
It's really, yeah.
There's some of that too.
There's a lot. There was some cool like machinima that I feel like the 3D and the 2D stuff. I because I'm super anal retentive or whatever. I organize when I'm in terms of like making the curating the lineup. I'll break it all down just by like, okay, 2D animation, 3D animation, stop motion, live action, whatever. And then I'll further subsidize like, or stratify, I mean to say, like kind of the different things of like, okay, like this one is like, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's really fun. I really do enjoy this type of stuff of putting, I mean, you can tell from how animated I am now just talking about it.
But it's cool too. Also, sometimes when you're editing, I mean, you're a real editor and a post-production supervisor. Sometimes things just kind of happen randomly though. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
wow. And the more,
some of my favorite edits will,
I'll
lay in the track and then be like, oh my God, this lines up perfectly.
Yes. Isn't that interesting though? I try and actually, I mean, I'm not a great editor, but I try to
I've seen your things. I think you edited pretty well.
Oh, thanks. I try to follow the muse, of like, and also the randomity of things. There was a thing I heard a long time ago when I was taking this music class, and they were saying that African music, I was studying African music, and they said that a lot of times they'll look at when they play a note that they didn't mean to play, they look at it as God was suggesting maybe that note. And I thought that's such a great thing, to allow God to suggest things.
Just surrendering to the current, I think, is a huge part of the creative process. I mean, certainly, I mean, to take a half step to the side, I feel like as far as you in editing, you doing it's almost like a documentary format. I feel like that's in a lot of ways harder to edit than a narrative thing because you're drawing from like, you have to create something out of like the raw ether. And the fact that you're able to do that, I think that's commendable. I think that it's
I
a
found
testament to
freedom
editing.
in it. As far as comedy goes, because I like doing the outdoor comedy because I have a night job. So a lot of times I can't get out to the clubs. So I've been doing, stand up in random places. But I also find that sometimes I can improvise more in that scenario and then go back and kind of piece it together. Because, these days it's like, okay to jump cut, which back in the day, we couldn't really do that. It was like
it's been fascinating watching that evolution happen of just like from I don't know if it started. I mean, when it started with like like early internet through Vine to TikTok now and whatever. It's just like it's really strange for me watching like growing up and watching Monty Python, Kids in the Hall, whatever. And then it's just stylistically. I mean, there's people doing really creative, interesting stuff, but the expression of it, just first of all, it's all portrait mode. And then also just the more manic kind of editing and whatever. And it's always people talking to themselves too, these ingenious comedic premises, but then it's like just a different format, which is kind of cool.
It's kind of fun.
I'm too much of a fogey to be able to pull that off myself. I'm not hip enough to try to do a TikTok thing or whatever. I don't even know where to begin. I just had this conversation with Seth Word from Show and Tell there about how like I'm not fucking. He wanted to do like a vertical thing. I'm like, I don't know how to do a TikTok. Like I feel like I'm too. People are gonna tell it's fake. I'm gonna be trying too hard.
But sometimes you have to try too hard. Just Jay comedian said that was cool. I want to do a Hot 30. Can I? So.
Yes, absolutely. Hot30.net is the URL, which I think right now it links directly to the submission link, which is a Google form. Although I have to look at I feel Film Freeway seems like a really obvious. I need to look into like, do we have to pay to be part of it? I don't know, but right now it's a Google form because it's Google. I use Google
works pretty well.
So
Hot30.net.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Boney, could you put .net on the end of that? Oh,
thanks, Boney.
Thanks, Boney. Appreciate
Boney's
that.
a cool dude. I feel like honestly, we had a good heart to heart in the green room.
Did you? He does. He does some like weird therapy counseling that he's been into, like in the green room, just before people go on, and the results are fantastic. The Reiki. Is that what it is?
Great.
Reiki.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about the similarities, I think that, so Patches, the pumpkin skeleton in the Halloween mixtape video, I think that
They're
they
related,
might
right?
be related. I
I
think
think
they
so.
were saying that,
I
like,
definitely
that
do.
it's, yeah. We
We'll
were
have to
talking
ask.
about the kind of like where Boney moved from and stuff. There might be a connection. We have to look into it.
That's cool.
23 or me.
That's cool.
But
Jason
yeah,
Edelman says he's been thinking of the new hard cut
Jason
style.
Edelman, uh,
Yeah, don't you love
like
Jason
from the
Edelman?
Patriots,
Yeah, from the Patriots, right? Um,
man.
TikTok. Ray says TikTok isn't all it's cracked up to be. I think that might be true because
I've never downloaded TikTok.
we were talking to
I'm
Ben Rosenfeld last week. He's a comedian on TikTok. He's got 250,000 followers, and I know Ray's got a ton of followers as well.
mm,
But we're also wondering, like, what's the payoff if you
mm.
get millions of followers on TikTok? We're investigating. We're investigating this. It's
Yeah.
very
I
investigative
mean,
show.
I think that the journey is its own destination, right? I mean, it's like you do
Yeah.
it because you want to. I mean, like I feel like for most of my life, I've been making stuff with the assumption that no one will see it except for me and probably the people that are in it too, and
Yeah.
whatever. So just I guess to kind of so to take a little bit of autobiographical stuff. So, I mean, so I'm from Massachusetts originally, which is why.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. You're his cousin. So the
Cousin.
Patriots reference there is because
Yeah, I know. I like that.
yeah. Well, I used to be a very, very briefly a video editor for like the ESPN there in Boston. So like it's fun. But both
Really?
my parents they were videographers for the news. Then my dad moved to live sports and whatever. So I kind of grew up with video stuff. Like I grew up in the
Wow.
editing bay of like a local news station with all the Betamax fucking
Wow.
tapes and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've always been kind of like my parents would have shit or they put me in news stories as a little baby and stuff. So I feel like I always was around the environment of doing things like that. So then, just sort of constant. I mean, I remember when mini DVD tapes got invented or became accessible and that was it. Oh my God, I can make things at home now. And like, I can just do
Yeah.
shit. And we always, I don't have any of them anymore because we always tape over it because you have like one tape to use and whatever.
Yes.
So like, it's all lost to time, like tears and rain. But I feel like that kind of the ethos has carried. I feel like I can look back at things I did like 25 years ago and look at what I'm doing for Hot 30 now and say like, this is like exactly the same. I mean, it's different, but it's like kind of the mentality behind it where it's just really fun to, did I start on Avid or a flatbed? Basically I started, I think my first video editing platform was Adobe Premiere, I think sometime in the early thousands or whatever. Cause I remember my mom, she worked, this was around the time when local news teams used to have like a big news team. And then over like a period of 25 to 30 years, it got pared down. What I think now, like reporters, they do everything themselves. They bring a camera, they edit it themselves, they do it all. But so like the whole industry, my parents told me like as a kid, like you can't follow our path because like it's no longer, it doesn't exist anymore. Like you can't, like they were camera people and now it's like the reporter does it themselves. So the point is when Adobe Premiere first got like whatever, I don't know when the commercial version of Adobe Premiere became available. It's sometime in the early thousands, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I used to, when I was in
That's when I
school,
started using it. Yeah.
I started using Final Cut in college there. I remember when Final Cut X came out, that sucked.
Yeah. Did you switch to Premiere then? Did you do that?
No, I stayed on Premiere the entire time. It was
you
for
were
like
Premiere.
Final Cut and Avid I would use. I wasn't a film major. I went to school for communications, but I would hang out with the film crew and also take like non-major production courses.
Yeah.
So I feel like the resources at the school there, they would use like Final Cut and Avid, and then different jobs I've had have required it. And I found them to be very similar, almost to the point of like, just identical, like how similar they are. I mean,
I've always used Premiere except for a period of time I used Final Cut, but then I went back to Premiere when it did Final Cut X or 10 or whatever they called it. But then we were editing a documentary film and we went to Sony or Fox Studios. They were going to help us out and they decided they were going to put it on Avid. And I was like, I don't think that I want to have it on Avid because then I'll get it back. At some point, maybe they won't be editing anymore. We'll get it back and it had to use like huge files and stuff like that. So I've used Premiere, although a lot of people these days are using DaVinci. Have you done that?
Yeah. I have used a little DaVinci. It's you mentioned me working at MasterClass. One of the best things besides everything was the fact that they would pay for me to take classes and whatever. And I went to Santa Monica College to do some post production. I did part of a certificate of post production workflow management. So I got to do like Pro Tools training, and which the audio editing program, and I mean like After Effects and Photoshop and all that stuff. I did the whole suite. It was DaVinci is really cool. I really like it a lot. There's honestly so many programs I could play. I mean, what I really like is any of the Toon Boom, like harmony type of stuff. I really just I did get to work in animation for a little bit before moving to. Basically, I used to work in nonprofit executive administration before transitioning into post-production management. And some of my first jobs were in animation for like FX and Netflix and a couple like independent features and whatever. And I gotta say, animation programs, there's so much amazing stuff out there. Like Storyboard Pro, I feel like is so much fun just to animate on. Oh my God. Really? It's great. Yeah, it's more intuitive, I found, than Adobe Animate, which is interesting.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some technical questions. First, I want to do one thing. I want to play this one really weird video that I found about Hot 30 that I just love. I don't know who to edit this thing. I'll just play a little bit of it.
Oh, I bet it's by Andy. Hell yeah.
Our best guess is that it started in 1987 when famed inventor Steve Jobs created the videotape. And now is your chance to become part of the incredible legacy of film, like the movie Body Double, where a guy spies on his neighbor when she strips for him every night. Anyway, Hot 30 is returning on October 10th, and the time has come for you to create a 30-second short film. Why should you participate in Hot 30 this time? We're prepared to offer Hot 30 creators the following: a 30% off CVS Extra Care coupon, 30 PlayStation 5s. Pretty Horsies will be able to run free around the whole world. A 30-second phone call from California Governor Gavin Newsom. We're meeting the moment. Eternal life in the style of the religion of your choice. Climate change will be solved. 30 apples and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay, I'll stop it before they start peeing.
That's so funny. I love that.
That's so hilarious. I love that. But that's another example of somebody doing some really creative, fun editing.
Oh, yeah. That was Andy Petruzzo, who's the guy that created Hot 30. Yeah. And he's basically still I've helped take over the actual kind of operations of it. And he's still around and having his thumbs on every pie and whatever the matter is and stuff. But
what happened? We're back to that.
I mean, it's a bop right there.
What the heck?
LCD sound system, man. But yeah, no, Andy Petruzzo, man, he's like one of the funniest dudes I know. He's an editor for Solar Opposites, that show there and whatever. It's cool. But no, he does a lot of kind of the documentary style parody stuff that like that what we just saw, where it's like the promo.
I love it. That got all this misinformation invented by Steve Jobs.
There's something that's like the way that he with the I've never heard of the movie. What was it, Body Double or
Body
whatever?
Double,
where he's and that's the way that he did it with the cut of the guy where he's just awkwardly moving on the voiceover and that's still showing the clip of the guy's spot. Just subtle shit like that is so fucking funny.
There's just some subtle stuff that just cracks me up in that.
Oh, man.
I love that idea too of when somebody says something with authority that's completely wrong.
yeah. He's I highly recommend checking out Andy Petruzzo's other stuff. I think he has a Vimeo and maybe a YouTube. He and Kyle Sweeney, the other co-founder of the event, they're both two of the genuinely most funny people I know. I mean, they're so. I'm so happy to get to do. We met through Channel 101, and then we were talking about how we all doing the kind of the looser format where with Hot 30 you can do anything, and people do every. I mean, you lived it. I mean, there's so much random stuff. It's it boggles the mind about how do people come up with this stuff, And so just opening and also trying to have the lower barrier to entry for people. Mm-hmm. Where, I mean, it's not having it be a competition. That's a big thing, just because there's some things that are fun to purchase. Also, having it be free to submit. There's so many.
Also 30 seconds is not going to cost you a fortune. Because I think one of the barriers for people are like, oh, you can just video with your phone and you can do this and that. But when it comes down to it, you know, you want to have the best product that you can make. And a lot of times to do a short film costs, people don't realize it costs you like $5,000, you know, or something like that.
I mean, even if you're doing like a completely low budget thing with your phone and just editing yourself, you still have to, I mean, reimburse if you're making stuff, feed your people. You know? And I feel like that just having a food budget as a baseline. So it has to cost something, you know?
Once
I mean,
you start
like
getting
really
into it, it ends up costing you money, you know? And cameras, you can't, you know, scrimp on the sound, and there's all kinds of things that you really have to do. So being able to do something for 30 seconds really enables some people to get something out there. That, you know.
and actually something to just kind of pop in my head is so I don't know if do you remember from the Hot 30 thing I gave out the digital program?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you? So on the other tab of that, I try to. So when people, to your point, to take a half step back, when you make something, there's a lot of resources and energy that goes into it, monetary, the least of which. You know, so basically when you make something, it's a real shame just to have it kind of linger on the shelf and just sort of, if it plays once, that's great. But then, like, you know, it'd be great to, so basically on every event that I try to do, I include, like, I have a spreadsheet that I made where it's like all these different live events, these screening events in the LA area where it's free to submit and then free to attend. You know, at the very least, if you contribute, then they give you a comp pass to get in or whatever. But basically, I've been getting, I go to, like, there's like at least 8 to 9 screening events that I go to on a regular or semi-regular basis. Off the top of my head, besides Hot 30 and Halloween Mixtape, Show and Tell is amazing. Silver Lake Shorts, also at El Cid, is amazing. There's one called Just Scare Me, which is a horror one every 2 months. There's Night of Shorts night at the Formosa Cafe Rooftop every month. I could go down the list. There's a ton.
It's a great place for actors to go too. Actors out there that might be like wondering, like, how do I get cast in anything? A lot of times you can meet all these directors and they're like just up and coming, and you can collaborate with them. And it's just a great thing to do, to kind of just get in the community, because I think community, as in everything, community is so important. So important.
Yeah. It's and really just like any way of putting yourself out there. I mean, like, so for me, you know, I do. So my vocation is I tend to do more of like the production management stuff, specifically post-production. But then, like, I really love directing. I love editing, and I love doing whatever. And just by participating in things like these communities, I've had so many people come up to me and say, like, hey, like, for example, I just got invited to direct a 48-hour film fest short.
Oh, cool.
This past one. We didn't win, but it was really amazing to get to do, and I'm really proud of how it came out. But it's also an opportunity I wouldn't have gotten to do if I wasn't putting myself out there. And I mean, it's kind of fun. Like, I mean, like, I remember I mean, just like, I mean, well, anyway, I could go on about different specific examples of people just being enthusiastic. I know I've certainly cast a lot of actors from going to these things, and I'll see them in the audience go like, hey, you were amazing in this thing. Oh my God. And then just keeping them, I try to maintain like the list of potential people who I want to collaborate with.
That
and whatever.
spreadsheet
and like,
really helps too, because you can be like, I really like that one thing. And then you can find out who did it, and, you know, stalk them or whatever. No, but really, seriously, if if you're looking for people to work on your project or be in your project or whatever, this is a great way to showcase people's, you know, skills and talents. I want to talk about this masterclass that you did. Sure. Especially this one in particular, the guys from Stranger Things. I'm just going to play a minute of it. I don't know, just so people get an idea of the flavor of it.
We're the Duffer Brothers. We're the writers, creators, directors, producers of the Netflix series Stranger Things. In this class, we'll use examples from Stranger Things and show you documents we've never shown anyone ever before. You're gonna learn how to develop a television show, how to take it from the seed of an idea to an outline into a script, and ultimately how you sell that script. We actually got rejected at least 12 times before we finally sold it. In real time, we're gonna develop an unofficial Dustin Steve Stranger Things spin-off idea. This is not a real thing, Netflix. How about they find that Dustin's dad is missing and has been missing for many years? many months. This class is for the person who dreams of telling stories for a living. It's everything we wish someone had come and told us. We think it could give you an idea of how to get from A to B. Yeah, I
missed the tag there. That's so awesome. So you post-production supervised that, and you worked on that, and you had a lot to do with what happened there. Can
I
you
just say that they're such cool guys?
Are they?
Mean, oh yeah, there's because they were in the middle of, I mean, basically that was one of the most stressful classes I think I had to do, because it was like right before season 4 came out, and they were in the middle of like post-production, and we had like 13 weeks to do the entire fucking thing. And it was so, which is really very compressed timeline. I mean, just for, just the scale of what by the way, so I wish I thought to do this earlier. I just sent you a 2-week guest pass to MasterClass. If you want to check out the class.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I
don't
definitely
work
want
for
to
them
check out
anymore,
that class.
but I still got, I got the
that's
moves
great.
a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, I used to subscribe to MasterClass, but then I had to drop it. But I watched the Steve Martin one and a few others.
Oh, that's a good one.
Super useful. But when I saw that trailer, I was like, oh my God, that looks like something I need,
I think it was honestly one of the best MasterClass. So I've seen a fuck ton of them just because I have to QC. Even if I wasn't working on them, I would QC for the other teams, because you need to have the objective kind of eyes to look for stuff. And I feel like the Duffer Brothers one was one of my favorite ones. There's other ones about screenwriting and creative collaboration and stuff like that, but then they break it down in a really accessible way, where like so showing their writing process, it's like, oh my God, that's how I do it. They use Google Docs, and they like and they update in real time, and kind of
you want to see the real nuts and bolts of it like that. Yeah. And it's also really cool. we as performers and people that want to like pitch shows, we don't have no clue how to do that a lot of times. And so if somebody would break that down for us that was actually successful at it, just seems really helpful.
That is a great value, I would say. Just that one class alone is super awesome. I worked for MasterClass for like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, and you did like a dozen of them, right?
I think it was like 14 or 15 all told.
So can you tell us that process, just because it's really interesting?
Sure.
Do you have them write the classes, or do you write it with them, or how does that work?
So it's actually that's an interesting question. Really, the way that, so there's like the executive producer, there's a creative producer and the director, and basically so like the class is, I don't know if this is proprietary, maybe not.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to roll the dice. I mean, it's not like it's not. Yeah, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not giving away trade secrets. I mean, basically they talk. I mean, it's not like a scripted in the sense. I mean, there's like a curriculum. Like, so it's kind of going like, okay, hey, Duffer Brothers, you guys make a TV show. Let's talk about what it's like to, create a pilot pitch and pitch a multi-season show, and what it's like to develop that, and how to write a season of television or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, cool, that's a fun idea. And then so basically developing a curriculum, and then, and then they shoot it. It's a documentary. I mean, it's unscripted in the sense that these people, they have the topics they're talking about, but then after it's shot, as soon as it goes into the can, that's where I come in. Where basically, I mean, there's stuff like arranging the vendors for finishing, like color and sound and whatever, and things like that happen before before the shoot, because and I build the timelines like months in advance. Like that's part of like the early pitches, because you have to make sure that you can do it within the timeline of what the budget will allow and whatever. So like I do a lot of timeline generation, which are some really awesome and sexy smooth programs out there just to kind of build calendars and just like
like what do you use? What's a good one?
I really love Smart Sheets. Smart Sheets is amazing. There's other ones. There's other really great ones. I mean, Monday.com is fun. It's
like that's a project planning like timeline. Is that what it is basically?
With Smart Sheets is my personal preference. There's other ones. I mean, Asana is great for like individual task tracking, but the problem with that is that you can't ripple changes. So Smart Sheets, you can make it like an Excel spreadsheet, or you can make it like a calendar or a Gantt chart, or any number of types of things. But then you can make I'm like I already called myself anal retentive once. I mean, you can make like minutia of details going like, okay, so send this reminder email, or someone has to do any number, like the big tasks or the small tasks, and you can make it all dependent on each other. So if you change one date, it will all ripple and stuff, and you can kind of like it's great. I highly recommend Smart Sheets. So basically so I would build that super early on about like the post-production timeline. and all that stuff. And then as basically they shoot it, we transcribe it, and then you make a script based on the transcript, which then the editors, the assistant editors, they do all the the prep and whatever, and then not to be pedantic about the post-production process, but then the editors they basically they have a script that's been Frankenstein from a transcript of like 4 to 8 to 10 hours of interviews, and they condense it down to like 4 hours.
Wow. Do you use any of the transcribing AI software? Like in Premiere, you can transcribe now and you can edit by text. That's probably since you've been there.
I haven't been in MasterClass for about a year now, so I don't know if they've started doing that. I know that there's instances where that could be helpful, but there's services you really want to make sure you have a degree of accuracy that like dealing with the. So you have to, if you use the AI, then you'd have to spot check it after. I mean, I would spot check the transcript because it would be like, okay, there's how many unintelligible words you have to try and like listen to with your headphones and go like, what the fuck are they saying?
Does the transcript link in with Premiere somehow so that you know where things are? Or how do you...
There's this amazing platform called T-Scripts that would basically you could scrub through the video in real time and it would have the transcript and be like follow the bouncing ball. Wow. It was fucking awesome. It was really just some services are operating at a very high level. But yeah, so basically we edit it based on the transcript, and then just a couple weeks of editing and then move on to finishing and whatever, just have like check-ins and stuff. It was super fun. I mean, for me, I was in the non-creative role for that. So I really just would handle logistics, holding regular meetings, contacting people, when it came to setting up VO, for the people and arranging travel and whatever for people to get to the vendors. So a lot of times it'd be like, oh, this person is, oh damn, they're in, Vancouver. Okay, I need to find a fucking VO booth in Vancouver that we can use or wherever. There's all sorts of. I mean, I did a lot of international stuff with MasterClass. Like,
did people like in Germany. Did they edit over the internet? I mean, were people collaborating, different editors over? I mean, because this during COVID. Too,
yeah, I did work there during COVID, and then a little bit after when COVID. So like, there are offices where people, like there's one downtown that I worked out of, and then there's the Bay Area is where they're mainly centered and stuff. But basically there would be editors with their home machines, and you can have the shared drives, to host a lot of the materials. Well, you ship drives, I mean, a lot of it, I mean, you make proxies and stuff, so you don't have to have like this, like just massive, insanely like continent size, like files and stuff. But
that's so incredible. So how does that translate to your own filmmaking now that you do this kind of heavy duty post-production supervising?
I will say my editing process has become much more, as I think I said, I've been editing since as soon as I could like walk there. I've been like doing stuff. I mean, they're making movies and stuff like as a kid. But I feel like seeing professionals at the top of their game, like at MasterClass, there was Academy Award winning people I was like working with every single day. It was amazing, and these editors are so and so like seeing how I basically it's. For the 40, as an explanatory anecdote, for the 48-hour film fest, I did not edit my short, but I sat in for like to give notes on the edit and whatever after the first pass was done. And then as we were waiting for a render, me and the editor and the producer were all kind of just like shooting shit and talking about our processes and stuff. And they were saying, oh yeah, let's watch two things and throw it on the timeline. And I described what I do, which is more based on how MasterClass will do it, which is basically I'll take every take and I'll cut up each takes to the usable portions and color code it and then string it out like as though along like a clothesline. So you have every single shot from every single line of dialogue or action from every single conceivable angle color coded. So that way you can watch the entire piece of content, like every possible permutation of every single line all in sequence. So then when you just duplicate that for safety, and then you just you just watch and go like, okay, that's like the most like cool one of those. So I just like throwing away like all the takes you don't like, and everyone else in the room at the 48-hour film fest was like, Jim, that's so much fucking work. That's ridiculous. Like, why do you do that to yourself? Yeah. And because it's really fun and it's really easy to edit that way.
Yeah, I get like that too. I like to do multicams. So I'll take like all these different angles and I'll put them in a multicam, and then but sometimes you know, might be just getting too into it.
Yeah.
But then
if
once
you
you
have
get
fun,
it
though,
in the
that's
place
key.
like that, though, once you get into a place, then you can kind of really work it more easily
yeah.
because it's so, you know, you can go, I'll switch the camera angle, I'll do this and that, you know, and
Well, and having all of it, it allows you to see things you wouldn't have necessarily seen. If you're just like going through all the raw files just sort of individually and like looking at it and trying to find one thing, then once you find a version of it, you might stop, you know, but if you have it all right there, then you can get the best possible version.
Yeah.
You know, like there's been so many times that like I'll go like, okay, I know that, oh, it's the fourth take that I want to use, but then when I watch them all, I'll be like, wow, that second take had a great energy, you know,
That's
and
the
whatever.
thing is
So
you don't
you
always
find
know
all
on
sorts
set. You don't always know on set
Yeah.
what the best take is until you look at it in the camera
Yeah.
or in the, you know, in your editing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. What about writing? Do you
So
write?
I would definitely say, oh, writing. I do write. I tend to write most of the stuff that I make, just because I mean a lot of the stuff that I make is specifically for these short film circuits. You know, where like if I go like, okay, I know I want to. Okay, it's October, so I know that there's like 5 screenings I want to be able to go to, and it's more fun. I mean, so like you could go as like a, you know, a millennial type, not to carbon date myself, but like, you know, it can be hard to go out and meet people and whatever, and like going to a bar or going to like whatever. It's like, what do you do? I mean, like, I mean, just going up and trying to break this. If you go to a screening event and you have something playing, you can be like people, and you can go like, oh, hey, I did the thing there. And be like, oh, cool, whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's literally how we met. You know, just because I was like, hey, man, you had the fucking awesome thing or whatever. It was
I think it's so.
But yeah,
I like to meet. I like to meet with people either doing the work or showing the work. You know what I mean? Like that for
like
me,
a creative
because I'm
currency.
much more introverted than one might think. You know.
Yeah.
But to go to a place, sometimes I would rather stand in the corner. You know, and I'm not very aggressive in that way, or outgoing.
I mean,
I'm just not a super outgoing person socially. But,
I feel like, you know, you have the biggest at the show and tell. You have to do like the thumbnail and stuff. You have the fucking arrows pointing down. You have the most presentation of anyone there. You're like the most ostentatious. I feel like I'm similar. I feel like in many ways I am introverted, but at the same time, it's like I'm either an introverted, extroverted, introvert. I don't know which one. But it's a great conflict inside of me all the time, and where I would really love just to stay inside a cave and read some library books. But at the same time, I also feel this intense craving to go out and meet people and find my community, you know? So to answer your question about the writing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so, well, meeting people, it's been really fun to get, because I love working with people, but then a lot of times they'll just be like, okay, let's just like do something just to do it. So then being able to meet people who like are flowing in the same current, you know what I mean? And then going like, hey, you know, like let's kind of jazz and stuff here. It's a really fun. I mean, actually, the Duffer Brothers using Google Docs. I mean, I use Google Docs all the time now, just because it's so easy to send like a draft to someone and go like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. You know, like, what do you think? I mean, feel free to make any notes or comments or changes and stuff. It's super makes it super accessible. I know there's other platforms too. Like I use Celtics as a screenwriting like software. I don't pay for it. I have like I still have my desktop version, which used to be the free version, and I never uninstalled it. So, but then there's things like Writer's Duet, which has a free version where it's the same as Google Docs, where like you can share it with someone else in real time
and
edit in script format.
Yeah.
And you can import any file format, and it'll automatically make it into like the script format, and you can also export as any format. So if you're using like Final Draft, you can import like a text document and export it as like a Final Draft version or something. You know what I mean? You can do all sorts of.
What's that one called? I haven't heard of that.
And it's free. Writer Duet, Writers Duet.
Writers Duet.
Okay. Yeah, one. It's either plural or singular, but Google will know the difference. I mean, I just have it bookmarked, so I don't.
That's good because
it's super.
You know, Premiere or Adobe had something like that for a while that I was using that I just loved, but then they just got rid of it. I don't know why. I think nobody was using it.
I will say, the Adobe at some point in the last like 3 years, they added the feature to synchronize audio and video, and that's so fucking awesome. Yeah. Like, oh my god, it's like the game changing. Like if I ever wanted to do it, I used to have to either do it manually or find a friend who had Pluralize, which was a program.
I do
Writers
Pluralize.
Duet. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks.
Oh yeah. That's I mean, the first time I saw that blew my fucking mind, the plural. Because I used to have to do it by hand. It was just like, oh, it's a pain in
I'm
the
terrible
ass.
at it too.
And then that
But,
technology is grand. It's so
incredible.
great.
Have you seen the thing now that it's an AI that can, if you have like an interview with somebody and you have 3 cameras, you can lay the tracks on top of each other and it will edit the whole interview. Like if you have a podcast interview and like when one person's talking, it'll be on them and the other person's talking is on them and it does it all like within minutes.
Wow.
Which is
man.
really incredible for the workflow, you know?
Incredible for the workflow, kind of terrifying for the
editors.
the worker. But yeah, I mean, it's the same way with like animation. Like I'm terrified for like so many paths. Not to go down like a rabbit hole here of this like the doom stuff and whatever. But so a huge pathway for artists is to be like the revisionists and the in between artists and stuff like that. So like basically the real like the top level artists will make the keyframes, which is like the pristine, good looking frames, and then there'll be other people who are entry level, kind of like making all the in between motion stuff, and that could easily be offloaded to AI now and whatever. It's like it's kind of. So it's in the same way that like the news people, like my parents, they told me that the career path is no longer an option. It's kind of seeing all this stuff and going like, man, it's great for the workflow. Ooh, but that's kind of scary. Going like, there's not going to be the same opportunities now.
We're going into this whole new world. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. And the idea of apprenticing, but while doing, being an in-betweener or whatever it is that I don't know all the technical terms or whatever, but it's like out the window. But at the same time, somebody can also make things very quickly that if they don't have a staff at all, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it is very exciting. It's like there's this level of existential dread that's also mingling with the excitement of like the space race, you know, where it's like, oh my God, we can walk on the moon. I don't know, do you know Corridor Digital?
No, what is that?
I know they have at least a YouTube channel, but basically they did a thing recently where they're like they're working on exactly what you're describing, where it's like this open sourced like this AI powered animation technique where you can basically film yourself in front of a green screen and it'll just like, you know, and it's not like I never use the AI stuff, so I don't know if it's like chat. What's the one where it's the images?
Midjourney.
Midjourney. Yeah. So it's like that kind of thing there where you can basically you plug in the references and then it'll in real time just like turn you into an anime character or whatever. And it's just like, oh my God, that's so fucking cool. It's really. I'll send you a link. There's some crazy shit. It's but the point is, I mean, to your point, it's very, very exciting to know how accessible the technology is going to be, because then it's going to be just for people who want to do like Hot 30 and experiment. There's a lot of people who did stuff like that, where just like the rotoscoping, like the Joel Haver vision. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
I don't know about that stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could do. It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's I mean the AI, it's a scary thing, but it's also there is potential of it, which is pretty exciting too.
Yeah, the potential is incredible, and it's also scary. And you know, apparently the next Google's Chat GPT? Somebody's coming out with one that's just going to blow everything away. And we're going to be like, again, mind blown. I just sent you that video, the anime. So check it out later. Okay, cool. I emailed you. Sorry, chat. I don't have it just to put into the thing here, but there's some cool stuff out there that you can, whatever. So you can enjoy it, Joel. And well, but let's see. Boney can call it up. I don't know. Boney, can you check?
Well, I guess I know we're getting close to an hour, so I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't at least talk about the Halloween show too, which is the first thing you played. Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was it used to be a private event. Mm-hmm. Between me and my co-producer Ryan Coltrera. He's big Mr. Halloween every year, and he does like Halloween. So then like, he is Dr. Halloween, and basically I love horror and stuff. Yeah. And there's relatively little horror representation in terms of the independent filmmaking community scene in LA. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's so much comedy. I mean, there's comedy for days, but there's basically, I mean, very little horror. There's Secret Movie Club the ones I would know about. There's Secret Movie Club, which is every 6 months. So October and May, they do like a horror thing. And there's Just Scare Me, which is every 2 months, but you have to like opt in. They have a narrow funnel head where it's like, you have to like sign up in the beginning and then only the first 30 people can participate, Wow. So for me trying to do something where it's like, okay, the doors are blown wide open. Anyone can submit anything right up until the day of the deadline or whatever. Yeah. And it's been really, really fun. That's been I actually just got the confirmation the other day for the venue in Pasadena that we're gonna do it at for this next time. It's it's really it's like a great comedy show. It's a horror. We do a comedy horror trivia in the beginning, and then it's like basically any in genre content that can be horror, it can be horror comedy, whatever, as long as it's under 5 minutes and it's not like just in general. We don't accept things that like are like offensive and like use your fucking judgment. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to, like, I mean, people, you don't have to be shocky just to be shocky or like punching or whatever. So that's like really the only restrictions, like the 5 minutes, and also just like don't be a fucking idiot.
Don't be mean spirited. That's what I always
Don't be mean spirited. Make a fucking snuff film too. Don't the audience and whatever. But it's fun, and I feel like the fact that like so many people who like horror have come out of the woodwork almost, where they're like finally like some place of something that's like not that's an inclusive. I mean, not to say that these other ones aren't inclusive, but then like I said, there's like a narrower funnel to get in, where it's like you can attend, but you can't participate unless you're there like right in the beginning. You have to be able to get in, and like so trying to make it like. Also, the other thing too, both Hot 30 and Halloween Mixtape are both free, which is really, really important to me. Just, Hot 30, granted, it is at a bar, so there's the expectation of buying a drink, but that mixtape is, I mean, we have like White Claws available, or whatever, and like water and stuff, but it's basically
it's so generous of you. It's so generous of you to do that and make this community. I mean, I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you for being part of it, man. I mean, I know that I want to be the type of person that I needed like 10 years ago. Where it's like I don't want to spend $60 to potentially screen my film someplace, and even if it gets in, I spend $60 to submit to someplace, then there's no guarantee it gets in. But if it does get in, I'm gonna have to pay another like $20 to $60 to attend.
The film festival circuit can be such a racket.
Man.
I mean, it really is. That's another great. That's one of the great things that you're providing here is like an alternative to that. That's why when you said film freeway, I was like, I don't know, because that's just like that's the funnel to all these like places where you pay these entry fees, and that pays for their festival and pays their salaries. There's all these entry fees.
I mean, I know. Well, I mean, we're all 100% volunteer driven with everything. I mean, the most that there will be is for like the host of the events. Usually, I'll like get them like at the bar. I'll get like, oh, okay, put your drinks on my tab or something, and like buy them dinner and buy them Uber there and stuff. But like everyone's been so generous and so cool with their time and energy, just of like with people submitting, people attending. I feel like honestly, besides just watching the show, the networking mingling after, that's like almost like that's like kind of the point in a way, in the same and just as much as the screening itself is like being able to go there and just meet all these other people who are just like just like want to be part of the have a community. I feel like being able to provide that community and at least a watering hole, I mean, there's so many amazing ones like Show and Tell. Like Show and Tell is tonight. Anyone in LA?
I love that. It's tonight.
Yeah,
Show
it is.
and Tell.
I'm screening actually. I have a thing.
You?
There's an extended cut of I don't know if you remember the Christmas Carol Hot 30 that I did. I mean, I can send a link to it, but it's basically not to give. They're basically Ebenezer Scrooge wakes up and he's like, I'm going to be super generous and stuff, and then he like goes to the Jumbo's Clown Room, the strip club, and whatever. And he's like making it rain because he's being generous and whatever. So I do an extended cut of my Christmas because I made it knowing like, okay, this has an extended life here where I'll get to like submit it in December. There's going to be Christmas screenings, so not only will I have a stupid 30-second idea that I came up with like a year ago and wrote on a Post-it note. I do a lot of that. I have a ton of Post-it notes of just like random ideas, which then like I'll be looking for something and then I'll be like, okay, I got these people available. I got like, a couple hours on a Saturday. What can I do? I'll look through my papers and find like, oh, this idea, this is stupid enough to work.
Well, what's great too about those people in those communities is you run into people that are just doing. They're just doing. A lot of times because they're doing so much, they don't have time to go hang out in a bar or something like that. So you're meeting people that are like actually like making stuff. And so
it's really exciting for that reason.
Instead of just meeting with people that are talking about making stuff. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's so much of that. And honestly, like I feel like there's a couple years. I've been in LA for like 8 years now. And at first, when I came out here, I was hitting the ground running. I was making stuff. I was having fun. And then there's a group of people who, I was friends with, and I liked them very much, but they also were just sort of this level of like, pretension. I think it's fine for me to say that because I didn't name them and whatever. But basically being like, oh, if you're not spending $2,000 to $5,000 on a short, why are you even doing it? If you're not like doing all this stuff and like, you're not really doing. So I was kind of like pressing my interest to try and be like, well, I don't want, and then going to places like Show and Tell, which equal means equal. No, it's not in Santa Monica Boulevard. It's off Sunset. It's between Sunset and Hollywood. It's in like Thai Town or Little Armenia. I can't remember which one technically.
I don't know whether is it a location that I can put in the show notes, or is it maybe
I don't know if maybe
sort of an undisclosed location.
It's
I think go to Show and Tell on Facebook. Show and Tell on Facebook.
Yeah,
that'll get you there.
Give them a like and follow. I mean, I'm sure that their information will be posted and whatever. No, don't fuck those people. I feel like those are the best. Oh, you're talking about the people I thought you were saying fuck those people. The Show and Tell.
She's talking about fuck those people who are saying you have to spend $10,000 on a short or it's not worth anything. Yeah.
Yeah, which is insane. That's an insane way to look at things. And I feel like that's kind of like, I mean, not to be judgmental, it seems like almost a film school mentality where like, you paid all this premium to kind of have this level of prestige. But then honestly, like you said, Joel, like being people who are actually doing it, most of the people who like were giving me that attitude don't do fucking shit.
Anything. I know. They don't do anything because they're telling themselves that too.
Yeah.
That's the thing is the stuff that's coming out of their mouth, they're telling themselves. And so a lot of times they're just frozen.
Yeah,
they don't do
perfection
anything.
Is the enemy of the good, right?
Yes, it's such an important point because we all get stuck in that sometimes. I find that sometimes the best work that I do is when I'm like, let's go out and shoot this thing, and we just go and we don't think, And I know that there can be technical problems and stuff with that, but still, a lot of times that's the gold.
Yeah, there's I feel like honestly, I mean, I've never gone like viral or whatever. I feel like the most I've ever had is a couple thousand views on stuff. But like, I feel like the one short that like, how do I balance it all? I do a lot. Let me think about that. Let me finish my anecdote, then I'll loop back around to how I do it all. So basically, to your point though, there's a short I made last year it was for Halloween. I premiered at Show and Tell last year. It was called Bloody Mary, and it was like this random idea. It was the stupidest fucking thing I could like. But then it's like people come up to me. I got recognized at a fucking bar. And I went to All Season Brewing in Mid City, and like some guy was like, "Dude, you played the thing at Show." And I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, how do you remember that? How do you?"
That's the greatest.
It was so, but then it was from something just completely, just like it was like not a throwaway thing because I like care about it. I wanted to be good, but it was also shot on my cell phone with no mic, and just like it took like maybe a half hour on a random street in Koreatown, and then the biggest expense was buying lunch for everyone, which I think Papa Christo's oh, it's so good. Oh my God. Anyone in Koreatown, stop by, or that might be in MacArthur Park. I don't know. But anyway,
we're going to have to put all these links in the show notes after this conversation. Yeah, man. There's so much good information. And so
I got links on links. And honestly, like it'd be great. I should give you the link to the, I have that spreadsheet of all the free LA shows that like I've been curating. So it's basically if people like want to, I guess I've just been emailing you shit. So I don't have a fucking chat link, so I'm just gonna keep emailing you stuff.
There's an interview there's an interviewee chat. There is that.
Oh, I see that. Okay, so is that private or can it?
Yeah, it's just between us, but I can put it in the chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So I just well, either way, I can articulate. I can talk.
Of course you can.
I think the point I was expressing with the Bloody Mary thing is to your point of this. I had no expectations of this thing, but I get people talking to me. But still, it's been over a year since this thing came out, and I only screened it. I screened it like I guess in October. There was like literally 6 or 7 different events that I took it to, because it's like either it was working for anyway, it doesn't matter. I digress. To the question.
Let's go to Ray's question. How do you balance it all? You do a lot.
I get that question a lot. And before I answer too, I just got someone just told me that they were baffled by me because I'm doing a lot of stuff, and then also because I'm doing things to the point we were expressing about like just doing things just to do them. And this guy, I think he was great guy, a good, nice dude, but he was also like, he gets stuck, I think, in his own head about like making things. And he was like, man, I just don't understand it. Like he literally used the word baffled, which I've never been described as baffling before, but like about like just going out and I feel like it's a part, like, how do I do things? I mean, being organized, I guess,
organized. You seem like you're really organized.
Yeah, you really have to be. I mean, I don't know if there's some level of just like, I mean, anal retentiveness or like, whatever, just where I do, I mean, I do it for other people a lot. You know, like that was my job for the past like 10 years, is like literally organizing. I mean, at my, I like literally, I used to have to do like 30 something events a year and raise like over $500,000 for as a nonprofit executive and whatever. And it's ridiculous. And it's so, if you don't maintain a level of organization, and that's something like, that's like combat experience right there, like where it's like, okay, you literally have to justify your own salary as in addition to all your other goals and stuff, and wrangle volunteers and things like that. I feel like there's a, you know, there's an element of it about, you know, like what motivates me is that it's kind of like creating your own fun. I mean, LA is it's a great city. I live in LA. I used to be from Massachusetts. And in both places, there's a lot of ways to have fun where you have to spend money, and there's a lot of ways where you don't have to spend money. And then a lot of times for the not having to spend money and having fun, it just requires you to put forth a little bit of effort and whatever. And that's like, so basically me knowing that I'm by putting in I guess the maxim is every minute you put into pre-production saves 20 in post, right? Mm-hmm. So it's because, I mean, the more kind of like the planning you do ahead of time, and a lot of times it'll be just like in the beginning of the year, it's almost the end of the year right now. So I'll go like, okay, what are the things I want to accomplish the next 12 months, next 15 months and whatever. And like, I'll go like, okay, like I got this web series and I'm not ready to make it now, but maybe 6 months from now will be good. So that way I can like, it's like for every show I do, I try to give myself at least like 3 to 6 months of runway before each thing, because it's just, I mean, on top, I'm not to brag, I'm like super unemployed right now, but you know, it's on top of oh shucks. Yeah, but I mean, that's a pretty recent thing, and doing all for the past, like, I mean, I'm actually very, very lucky where I was able to work through COVID just doing post stuff. And then during the strike, I was able to work up until like October, just because like things were still in the pipeline. Yeah. And whatever, I moved to PBS. I was doing a thing for PBS there, this unscripted series, which fortunately wasn't affected by the writer's strike or the actor strike. Wow. Although Don Cheadle did appear in it, so I don't know if he's like signed a waiver or something. But no, it's already aired. It's on. It already aired on PBS.
Ray says you're inspiring me. I do a podcast and stand up and feel overwhelmed, but I am not organized.
You know, the biggest piece of advice, Ray, that I've been given is just like don't do too many things at once. I mean, it looks like I am, because a lot of them I'll like kick down, but I'm really only actively working on like besides. So I have like, I stratify stuff where there's like my personal life, like my personal health, my family, you know, whatever. And then there's work on top of that. And then in the free time, really try to only do like 2 things at once, and maybe have some things like sort of percolating for down the road. So no, like, okay, like so like Hot 30 is coming up and whatever. So, I mean, this is not, I mean, I still have like 4 months for Hot 30. So this isn't an example for right now, but like knowing like, okay, Hot 30 is coming up. So like, I mean, like I can only do so much right now. And then like, okay, so then a month after it, then I can put these other things down there and whatever. So it's really just, I mean, in terms of being organized, there's like, I feel like I don't want to oversell how organized you have to be to do any of this stuff. I feel like it helps because, you know, especially when you're curating a bunch of stuff for other people, and when you're the one who's trying to like ring the dinner bell and kind of set the table, then you have to be, but then in terms of just doing creative things,
it's like weird because we've said 2 things here. We've said sometimes we just wing it, and sometimes we plan for 6 months, and it's true.
But it's organized though. It's like I'll go like, it's like, okay, I have a period, like it's like you plan the time to wing things. You know what I mean? Going like, okay, like I want to make a micro short to play at show and tell, and also to submit to all these other fucking places. So like I don't know what it's gonna be, but I know that this month I have to do that short, and I also have to do whatever else. Like, so I have to, you know, I want to make a short this month, and I also want to you know, prepare this festival stuff or whatever. So like those are my 2 main things that I'll do. And then because I still, it's like that, it's basically whatever I can do in the leftover time that I have between like work and like just maintaining my personal life. And a lot of times that can mean just setting aside time to do nothing. You know, like that's a huge part of it too, is where I set a lot of time to like, I mean, like just to make myself like, okay, go to the gym, read a book or whatever. I do read a lot of books. I referenced going to the library a lot. Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate it. I guess really the reason why I do a lot of what I do with trying to put together these events and empower other people is because I've taken a lot of knocks and wrong turns trying to figure out what it is that my path is supposed to be. I still don't know, but I know what's fun to do, and I know where I like being right now, and I know that there's a lot of other people like me out there who can benefit from like like there's a certain attitude about like, oh, you know, if you're doing well, it means that I'm doing less well, and that's not really necessarily how things work.
It's
I
not
mean,
how
in
it
like
works. Yeah.
I mean, in the real world, that's not how it works. In like competitions and sort of like
I know
cutthroat
people
environments,
think
specific
that
things
people
they can.
misunderstand that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's human nature. We see other people doing well, and we think, oh shoot, that's a bad reflection on me. And we sometimes you have to consciously, and it happens for everybody. You have to consciously turn that around because that's not logical at all.
It's like
you have to
everything.
be
Have you seen
for other
Everything
people.
Everywhere All at Once?
Yes, I love that.
That part where Short Round goes like, my way of fighting is to be kind or whatever. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, hell yeah, because that's like, I mean, that's so. I mean, at one of the Hot 30 events this past year, this guy came up to me and he was like, I just moved to LA and whatever, and he was like looking at the spreadsheet I gave with all the links, all the events. He was like, this is like everything that like I've been here for 2 months. I haven't known anyone. Like he came to this thing randomly because I was posting about it and stuff, and then like, and now I've seen him at so many. I've seen him like a million times since then because he's been going to all this shit, and he has friends and he has all these like connections, and it's like kind of like fuck yeah. I went like
I love that.
I just at the screening event that happens at the Formosa cafe every month. I went there this past month because I had some friends screening, and I saw this guy and I was like, oh dude, and he's like, dude, I've gone to like. I've like the thing I'm playing here next month. I'm screening at like 5 other events that you listed in your fucking spreadsheet and whatever. I was like, fuck yeah. I've heard that a lot actually, which is really, really gratifying just to be able to pass along. I mean, just even if it's just resources, you know, I feel like, you know, the fact that there's so many platforms and so many people who are actively just trying to just do stuff, you know, and just, I feel like just like tapping into that energy, just as not even having to participate, just being there and seeing what other people are doing. It's super inspiring. You know, just, I mean, for me, it certainly is.
Like what we're talking about, listening to you, all of us are going, oh yeah, this is super inspiring. It's lights a fire rather than, you know, you know what I mean? It just lights a fire. We need to light each other's fires. Is what we need to do.
And keep the candle burning. You know, hey, Eric Schinzer, I know you.
Eric
What's up, dude?
Fuck
yeah. Dude, you definitely go to the Formosa event. I think it's like the first Tuesday of every month, I think. Yeah, there's so many cool events. I mean, that one's free. Silver Lake Shorts is free. Secret Movie Club. I think that Secret Movie Club is this really cool one, the Speakeasy Loft downtown. And it's free if you screen something in the thing. Otherwise, I think it's like $10. But, you know, but if you screen something
to charge like $10 for people to come to things, sometimes that even adds value to the feeling they get. It's like, oh, I paid $10 for this. This is going to, you know,
I was debating for Halloween.
You got to give people the opportunity to give, you know?
Yeah. I was debating for Halloween mixtape to add a admission fee of like $6.66 because then you can like, you know, and then with that give like a White Claw or something too. So then it's like, but then that would help pay the venue fee. But then actually so we used to do the Halloween mixtape event at this Theater 68 complex in North Hollywood, which is right on Lancashire and Magnolia. It's like the super awesome trendy area. Yeah. And they're doing they have a play that's doing a residency there in April. So for our halfway to Halloween event, they're not willing to take down the sets for us to do a screening. So we had to find someplace else. And it's fucking awesome. And it's actually like, it's like half the price of the fucking, for like double the size. It's like, instead of there's like a 75-person theater in North Hollywood, and now it's like 150 seated, 180 standing room theater. And it's fucking awesome. So we might actually not have to charge a fee. I don't know. We're debating back and forth. I agree. 666 is a funny number. And if you do it on Venmo, people don't have to worry about bringing change.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think that's great.
Or Eventbrite. I don't know. I guess we're going back and forth on some of that stuff about like, because we're going to sell concessions like, you know, popcorn and candy and like, you know, whatever.
I think it's not bad. It's not bad to charge something, just something, even if it's a funny something, you know.
Yeah. It's one of those things there where like, you know, if it's under 750, I feel like that's like a reasonable, because there's a lot, I've had people, and it's breaks my heart every time, where like Hot 30, there's this one guy who contributes and he's just sort of like, I would love to go, but I really just cannot afford to go out with a 2-item minimum. Because I mean, the nice thing is that El Cid, the bar, is that it's 2 items instead of 2 drinks. So you can get like an app and that counts. You know what I mean? But at the same time, just knowing that there's at least there's some level of premium to attendance. It sucks, and like I don't want to put someone in that position to like not be able to attend because they don't want to.
Well, that's what you do. Is if somebody expresses that to you, then you say, "Oh, don't worry about it."
Yeah, right. Well, it's not, but then that's the venue, and then that's also why we try to do live streams and make it all online, because there's also a bunch of people who are overseas. Like for the Halloween mixtape, there's people from, I want to say, South Korea, Canada, UK. I think it was not Sweden. It was some other one in Central Europe. I can't remember, but the point is, it's all written down. If they're listening, I don't think they're listening because the time zone would be different, so I don't have to worry about it.
Maybe later though. Maybe a lot of people watch the show after it airs. Okay, now I've got to end the show because we're at like 1:20. But this has been so informative. I'm gonna have to go back and take notes or get my Premiere to transcribe so that I can find all the information in here.
Glad to be here. I'm so happy that you asked me to be on board. I mean, I've been a fan of your work for a while, and it's really it's super flattering and an honor and whatever. And to get to people, thank you in the comments for responding to the. I'd be glad to share out any of the links and resources that I talk about, because there's so much amazing stuff out there. Follow Hot30 on Instagram, Hot30 micro shorts, Halloween mixtape, super fun free events. Highly recommend.
I hope to see you all there. I hope to see your films in there too.
Yeah, well, hey, come out tonight. Should be a good show and tell.
Yeah,
There's,
show and tell tonight. So on Facebook, go to Show and Tell, or Seth Word's Show and Tell, and.
I saw on their list that there's some writers from Saturday Night Live who I've been following on YouTube since 2008 that are going to be screening tonight. There's some YouTube celebrities who have like 8 million fucking followers or something. It's crazy. And then it's like little old me, who's like fucking Joe Nobody, is like with these fucking people who I literally have been following them for like over a decade and been like, so it's really, that's cool. Another reason to go out and do stuff.
It's online. It's for those of you that are out of the state. If you want to check out Show and Tell tonight, the whole thing.
They do live stream.
They do a live stream.
I think on YouTube too. This is on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and they do it on YouTube as well. So if you go to Facebook, I think there's Show and Tell on YouTube as well.
I think on Instagram there's Show Tell Show, because I think the name got taken.
Oh,
but
really? I gotta find this there. Just let me see.
It exists.
Boney, can you find this? Come on, what are you doing? He's like sleeping.
Fucking Boney.
Come on, Boney. Show and Tell show. Okay.
And I just want to shout out Craig Ferguson for I loved Jeff, the skeleton sidekick. I really appreciate Cody. Craig, the Late Night Wars was a good time for television there. That was like that. Craig and Conan were my two guys there. That was a beautiful era.
Hilarious. Okay.
So I mean, of course, Dave too, but whatever. Oh, there you go. Showtellshow.com.
Showtellshow.com.
I should take a picture of that to show them that I gave them a plug. They'll like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
I guess I could screen cap, but I've already gone this far.
They've been such great supporters of lunch therapy. Both Kyle.
Well, I feel like talk about a welcoming environment, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Well, and thank you for being welcoming. I mean, I feel like it's been. I've had fun. So.
All right. Good. I'm glad, because that's the objective. Fun and information. Ooh. Jason Edelman, of course, is I think he's a Patreon of Seth Word, as am I.
I thought you were going to say Patriot. And I was like, I know.
Patriot. Yeah, he's a Patriot. We know that.
Or he used to be anyway. He might have retired. I stopped following football, honestly, a couple years ago.
Show and Tell streams live, YouTube, 8:30 to 9 p.m. Okay, cool. So now we got all this worked out here. Class friend says hi, Boney. Boney says hi back. Love Seth Word and Kyle. Yeah. We love them. All right, so dance time. Time for a dance break.
Hell yeah.
I got to find my dance. I got Adam Pierce. He's playing some Led Zeppelin on the guitar.
Nice.
This is all analog, so it's going to be exciting juxtaposition to all of our digital talk. All right, let's get
nice. Thanks for all the love in the chat, by the way.
Thank you for being on the show, Jim. It's been an absolute gift. Really appreciate it. And, maybe you'll come back on sometime. That'd be great.
Oh, cool. Well, that's, well, I'll be around.
All right, cool. Let's dance this thing out.
Let's do it.
Welcome back, y'all. I'll be doing a little bit of Page and Plant today at the same time. No big deal. Nah, I'm actually a little terrified.
I like his microphone.
He does these like every week.
want to see him play some Rush.
Oh yeah, we gotta get some Rush. Sure he does. It's a hard song to sing too, man. Like this. We can hear his voice. He was on The Voice.
Hey lady, you got the love I need. Maybe
I
more
need.
than enough. Oh darling, 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 go on me. Oh, you got so much, so much, so much. Many times I love, many times in a baton, many times I've gazed along the open road. Many times I've lied, many times I've listened, many times I've wondered how much there is to know. Many dreams come true, some have silver linings. I live for my dreams and a pocket full of gold. Mellow is the man who knows what he is.
Check out
and
Adam
what's
Pierce
not.
on his channel. Subscribe to his channel.
Can't see the open
So great having you on the show, Jim. And
Dude.
we'll see you all next week for more lunch therapy.